Hi guys, welcome to video 3 about MAUI data binding. So this is about binding to a list. Okay, so the easy way to bind to a list is you create a collection view, which is a view component that's meant to display a list, and you set its item source through code. So I set it to persons. Let's take a look at what that really is. So we have persons, which is simply a list of the class person. The class person has two attributes, name and age. So quite simple. And I add some elements to this. And then I said, the important thing is I set the item source on my collection view. Let me show you the collection view. This is the collection view. Here, and there's no specific binding information in this. It just has a selection mode that is single, and it has an event listener that I'm not using yet. So that's it. And with this very simple trick here, you can have your collection view populated with the persons. I'm going to show you what it looks like. It doesn't look that fancy. Okay, here it is. And you'll notice that you can select one item here. It can be a little hard to tell. This is slight gray background. And it's really hard to tell these apart. I mean, literally impossible. So that's not too good. But at least we get the items shown. So the first thing to do is to change the display into displaying something meaningful. Like the first thing I can do is to use toString. You see, the reason it actually wrote the class name in the collection view, and that's because it called a toString method on person, and it wasn't overwritten, so it took the one from object, and which says just return the name of the class. But now I can override the toString method, and let's see what happens then. See, now it shows the name. So that's better. But that's not really what toString is meant to do, or is meant to be used to. See, toString, well, first of all, if you were to use toString to define display, then you would have a problem if you wanted to show persons in more than one part of your application, for instance, in two different windows. You can't have two toStrings, so that wouldn't work really. And the second thing is you don't really want display to be messed up with anything that remotely looks like business logic. Like you could argue that this class is just meant for display and therefore it's okay. But still, if you want to use different displays, this still doesn't work. Right? That's the problem. It'll make the person class less reusable. And the second thing is toString is really meant to use for info to developers. Right? You use toString to log something to a log file, not to display something to users. What you should use instead is a data template. That's also far more versatile. Far more flexible. You can do anything with a data template. So let me show you how that works. You do it in the XAML file. You see I hit it down here, right there, copy, and you put it between the starting tag of the collection view and the end tag of the collection view. That's why I made a start tag and an ending tag. Now this one just displays the name, and let's run it again. Okay, you see, The names are there now. I could do this as complicated as I want. Like for instance, I could have this be an entry instead. And then I could make a label for the age. That was not correct. Not at all. There you go. Okay, and it doesn't like this. Okay, so that's because data template can only have one element inside of it. So you'd have to put some layout around these. Like for instance, let's take the vertical stack layout and move these inside there. There you go. And let's run it again. And that is not the prettiest design I ever saw. But you can type in this, right? Not in the age, because I made that as a label. I should probably make both of them labels, but I want to use this to show you something later on. Okay, let's just keep this running for a while and go back to seeing the next problems. See, I want to discover when something happens to the list. So if you notice here, I have a button called add, that says add person, and let's see what it does. It's down here. It has this event procedure. It simply says persons.add. And I want to put a breakpoint there to show you that it actually works. Press add, see? But nothing happens here. The list is still, and you think it's because something is wrong with this one, but let me assure you this is not the case. It actually added Kim 55, okay? It just isn't shown because no one knows that this happened. Only the list knows, and it's not broadcasting events telling anyone else. So, but there is a class that works that way. It's called observable collection. So let's use that instead. What this observable collection does, it will raise an event whenever you change the contents of it. And then the binding object lying underneath will be able to notify the collection view that it should be refreshed somehow. Okay, so try it again. Okay, let's try, give it a shot. Yes, yes, Kim came up and another Kim. And I can even scroll in this one. Okay, works like a charm. Now, what is the next problem? And what are these doing over here? These two entries with labels, why are they there? See, the point is, if I click this one, I want to display Ida here and 67. And if I click here, I want to say Joe 18. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So what I want to do is keeping related views in sync with the list. So when I choose something in the collection view, I want this to be reflected on the two entries. And I want this to happen automatically. Now, in previous versions of various .NET frameworks, this was quite easy or relatively easy to achieve. What you'd have to do is basically have your two controls. You'd have like, you'd say name dot binding context equals persons, and then you'd have to add some attribute to your collection view, stating that the collection view should make sure to tell the underlying framework when I selected a new item. And then this one would make sure that it would show in name, it would show the name of the person selected. But this doesn't seem to work in MAUI. It worked in all kinds of other frameworks, but not here apparently, not yet at least. So what I did instead was I caught the event when the selection changed in the person's view, and you notice that I have a selection changed event args, which derives from changed from event args, but which is specific for this event. And E has a current selection, and current selection is a list because this event does not know that I created my collection view with a single selection. I could change the selection mode runtime if I wanted to. So this one could be a list of selected items. So therefore it's a list, but I just take the first one. And then I simply use that as the binding context for name and age. I could have done like this instead. Dot binding context equals, what would that be? Person's view. Person's view dot selected item. I don't think I need as person. I think this would work the same way. But either is good. This one might be easier. I don't know. You make your own pick. But I want to show you that something good can be made out of this. See, E also has previous selection. So if you wanted to reflect on what happened, what did the user do? Did they remove an entire selection and create a new one, or did you just add? What happened? What was the previous selection? You might have need for that. And that's good about this. Okay. Anyway, we change the binding context of these two controls, and then they'll display. Okay, so let's get this thing started. There you go. Let's see what happens. Click here. That is unfortunate, but it is a consequence of the way I made my display over here. So you notice that I type here, but you'll notice that the item doesn't seem to be selected, right? So yeah, let me click on the label instead. You can see I had to make this slightly easier to see. Now you can see it's selected, and this is okay. And so clicking the text, clicking the entry field simply isn't going to change the selected, which might be an indication that you shouldn't use entries in this one. But anyway, that's how it works. Okay, so I want to show you something else here. Or maybe you can figure out yourself what's going to happen. See, these two controls are bound to the selected item here. But these two are also bound to this. So if I change here, see, it changes the list as well. Okay. See, and I can write here also, I think. Yes. See, bar. So. And it's saved. So that was the end of the show. That's all I had for you. So, but be careful out there. Bye.